You feel it rising in your chest, that hot, familiar tightness that tells you another fight is about to boil over. You love your husband, you really do, but you're just so tired of this cycle. The argument, the slammed doors, and then that awful tense silence that can stretch on for days. You don't know how to make it stop. But what if you could? What if you could learn how to actually hear him out, even when you completely disagree? And what if there was a way to talk through things that builds connection instead of tearing it down? This isn't a fairy tale. It's a skill, and it's one that can completely change the feeling of your marriage. Here's the thing. Conflict itself isn't the enemy. A little disagreement is actually healthy and totally normal. The real problem is when arguments turn destructive. The yelling, the mean comments. That's what leaves you both feeling hopeless, like nothing will ever change. But it doesn't have to be that way. The point is to solve the problem in a way that leaves you both feeling heard, respected, and like you're on the same team again. So, today I'm going to walk you through 7 real practical steps you can use to handle conflict with your husband without losing your cool, so you can actually fix problems instead of just creating bigger ones. The power of the pause. The first, and honestly most important strategy is mastering the pause. The second you feel your body tense up and your emotions getting hot, that's your signal to take a break. This isn't about giving him the silent treatment or running from the issue. It's a strategic move to stop you both from saying things you can't take back. When we're emotionally flooded, the logical part of our brain literally shuts down, and we're running purely on fight or flight. Taking a pause is all about self-control. It gives you the space to think before you speak. It can be as simple as saying, "You know what? I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now and I need a few minutes to cool off. I promise I want to figure this out, but I need a break so I can think straight. Can we talk in 20 minutes?" That little promise to come back is key. It lets your husband know you're not abandoning him or the conversation. You're just taking care of yourself so you can have a better one. And during that break, don't just sit there stewing. Go do something that actually calms you down. Take some deep breaths, walk around the block, put on a song you love. The goal is to come back feeling more in control, ready to connect instead of ready to attack. Shift from accusation to emotion with "I" statements. Okay, so you've calmed down, now what? The way you restart the conversation is everything. Think about how quickly a fight gets worse when someone says, "You always," or "You never." We call these "you" statements, and they're like gasoline on a fire because they sound like blame. And when someone feels blamed, they can't hear anything else you're saying. The fix is to switch to "I" statements. This is all about talking about your feeling, without making it his fault. So instead of "You never help out," "You just leave this entire mess for me to clean up," you could try something like, "I feel really overwhelmed and alone when I see the kitchen is still a mess after a long day." See the difference? The first one is an attack. The second one is you being honest about your experience. It's a small shift, but it changes the whole tone from blame to vulnerability. It moves the focus to solving the problem, not pointing fingers. After all, he can't read your mind. It's up to you to tell him how you feel and what you need. "I" statements invite him to understand you, not to fight back. Practice the art of active listening. So often, arguments feel like a tennis match where you're both just waiting for your turn to serve your next zinger. We get so wrapped up in what we're going to say next that we don't actually listen. Active listening is the cure. It means you give him your full attention, not to plan your rebuttal, but to actually understand what he's trying to say. A really powerful way to do this is called the speaker-listener technique. Here's how it works. One of you talks for a minute or two without any interruptions. The other person's only job is to listen. That's it. When the speaker is done, the listener's job is to say back, "Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is," and then summarize what they just heard. You're not trying to agree with him. You're just proving that you get it. You might say, "So it sounds like you feel like I don't trust you when I ask about our spending. Is that right?" Just doing that, reflecting back what you heard, is huge. It makes your husband feel seen and validated. A lot of the anger in a fight just comes from feeling like you're not being understood. When he feels heard, the tension will naturally start to fade, and you can actually start solving the problem. Dig deeper to find the real issue. Let's be honest. The fight about who forgot to take out the trash is almost never about the trash. It's about feeling unappreciated. It's about feeling like the workload isn't fair. The argument over one purchase isn't really about the money. It's about a deeper fear of not being financially secure, or feeling like your opinion doesn't count. Most of our recurring fights are just symptoms of a deeper issue or an unmet need. So before you get stuck on that hamster wheel, arguing about the same surface level thing again, just pause and ask yourself, and then ask him, what is this really about? You can even say it out loud. I know we're fighting about the weekend, but I feel like there's something bigger under the surface. Can you help me understand what's really bothering you? This shifts the whole conversation from the symptom to the root cause. It shows you care more about what's going on inside him than you do about being right. It takes guts to be that vulnerable, but that's where the real connection and healing happens. Getting to the root of it is the only way you'll stop having the same fight over and over again. The freedom of agreeing to disagree. Here is a truth that can set you free. You do not have to agree on everything to have a happy marriage. You are two separate people. Complete agreement on every single thing is impossible. Sometimes, the best possible outcome is to just respectfully agree to disagree. This doesn't mean you're weak or your relationship is in trouble. It means you value the peace in your relationship more than you value winning an argument. As the famous therapist Esther Perel says, you can either be right, or you can be in a relationship. This is especially true for things that are just fundamental differences in who you are. You might never agree on the right way to load the dishwasher, and that is perfectly okay. Letting go of that need to win or to get him to see things your way is a huge act of acceptance. You can respect his point of view without making it your own. You can literally say, look, I see this totally differently than you do, but I respect where you're coming from. I love you. Let's just agree to disagree on this one. This keeps the respect intact and stops a small difference from blowing up into a huge fight. Define your boundaries and rules of engagement. Every healthy relationship has boundaries, especially when it comes to arguments. Constructive fights focus on the issue. Destructive fights turn into personal attacks. You have to draw a hard line against disrespectful behavior. We're talking no name calling, no swearing at each other, no dredging up old mistakes just to hurt them, and no slamming doors. That kind of behavior doesn't just stall the conversation, it actively damages the trust and safety in your marriage. When you're both calm, you need to sit down and talk about what the rules for fighting should be. Agree together that if either one of you starts yelling or gets disrespectful, the conversation stops, period. This isn't a punishment. It's about protecting the relationship. Keeping that respect, even when you're mad, shows that your marriage is more important than any single disagreement. The no texting rule for tough talks. In this day and age, it's so easy to try and work things out over text. This is almost always a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad idea. When you text, you lose two of the most important parts of communication: your tone of voice and your body language. Without those, it is unbelievably easy for things to be taken the wrong way. A joke can land like a punch to the gut. A quick apology can sound like you don't care. You can't see the hurt in his face or hear the sincerity in his voice. Serious, emotional conversations need the nuance that you can only get when you are face to face. Make a deal with your husband. If it's important or emotional, you wait until you can talk in person. If a fight starts brewing over text, either of you can hit pause by saying, "This is too important for a text message. Let's talk about it later when we're together." This one simple rule will save you from so many pointless, painful misunderstandings. Look, learning these new habits takes practice, and it takes work from both of you. But I promise, changing how you handle disagreements is one of the best investments you can possibly make in the health and happiness of your marriage. If you found these tips helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe for more ideas on building stronger relationships. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which one of these strategies are you going to try first? Sharing what works for you can help everyone else here. Remember, the next time you feel a fight coming on, it doesn't have to end in slammed doors. It can be a chance to understand each other better. By pausing when you're heated, using I statements, really listening, looking for the real problem, being okay with disagreeing, setting boundaries, and keeping big talks offline, you're building a totally new way to communicate. This isn't about never fighting again. It's about fighting with respect. It's about remembering that you're on the same team, even when you don't see eye to eye. The goal is to solve the problem together and come out on the other side feeling even more connected than you were before.